so here's the hinge I got for the front. And it's not like your regular off-the-shelf piano hinge. This stuff's serious duty. And I can't remember the place. I think it was like New Hampshire Hinge is where you get something like that. Alright, so the hinge is 1/2 inch thick, which will set this top up 1/2 inch. And there'll be a big rubber seal in between the two. So I've just got a little spacer in there for now. If I don't do that and I made it the same length without the spacer, then it would be too long when it's sitting in the right spot. So up here where this hinge is at, I'm kind of going overboard on putting in a pretty heavy piece of angle up front here. And that's because this is a hinge, and for two reasons. If you're driving down the road and any of the latches pop loose and this thing starts bouncing, you don't want like a lightweight piece of sheet metal to tear. And the other part is when this is actually open, if the wind catches it, it's going to try and blow the opposite direction. So the hinge piece I'm going to make pretty stout, and then back to the rest of it just being sheet metal. So it should be pretty rigid, I'm hoping. Alright, so here's one tip I learned over the years. You're going to weld a nut, and you got to use the bolt to hold it in place to weld it. Get the bolt back out before the weld has time to cool. Generally what will happen is when it contracts, it's going to grab the bolt. So quick as you can, get the bolt out of there, and then after it's completely cooled, run a tap through it, because it will contract and your bolts won't go in where the dam, or you know, it doesn't always happen, but it happens enough to be a pain in the butt. Piece of shit. Well, they're as useless as tits on a bull. Alright, well, I'm definitely going out and buying the lotto ticket because it actually all lined up. Yay me. Alright, here's that moment of truth. Oh man, that's easy as pie. So there'll be a couple of gas struts on here to assist it. There's still a piece to put across the front, finish that up. 2 or 3 supports in the center, and then the sheet metal for the roof. And you know, a couple of latches down here. You pop it up, it'll go higher than that. You know, that's the ceiling height that's stopping it there, but so it should go up higher than that, and then there'll be a canvas tent here. We had so much rain here last night that it's flooded the shop, and of course it made all the crap float around, and it's a fucking swamp in here. Rain everywhere, look at this. We are fucking flooded. see how heavy that is. Oh, that's easy. Alright, so I forgot to video this yesterday, but anyway, this is the mount for the bottom half of the strut. And these are 120 pound struts. So they push this roof up real nice. So I'm going to finish drilling all of these holes and countersinking the head for the bolt. Sick of the rain, I'm serious. Kind of hard to see which way it's going. Alright, so that's pretty close. It's kind of hard to stretch a 2-inch edge, but it did it. And this will get fit into this window here. And I'm going to start building the toolbox that goes in here. We had a good sized dent here on the door. And I had to get in here to get to the back of here, push it out. So I ended up drilling a few holes in here, and there was just physically no way to get in here. So by putting a few holes in here, I can get in here. The door card will cover it back up later. Alright, that little piece actually took a little bit longer than I thought to make. I had to notch the body a little bit because I was just cutting it off. So I'll make one similar to that on the other side. We'll build a box, and the box will actually be angled, so that's going to make it interesting, but at least it'll match the pillars. So I'm working on this toolbox that's going to go in here, and this is about the size of the fridge that's going to sit in here. Fridge is just a little wider, but it's about the same size as that box. Unfortunately, every fridge I found, the doors only open one way. So unfortunately the door isn't going to work in my favor, but it is what it is. So it looks like I can bring this box in here. I'm not going to like this waste space here. We'll have to think of something I can put in here to use that up. So this box is going to be interesting. Alright, so that piece took a little bit longer than I thought. So anyway, this is going to be the shape of the box. It'll be a piece that comes out here, and it'll be hinged. So this will open up, and there'll be a box that's about 9 inches deep in here, and you know, things like a jack and God knows what can go in here, and that'll be locked, and then that'll be the back to the fridge part right here, and then there'll be a cabinet that you sit on, which will be like a little bench seat thing sitting here. So, but that's all on the whole plan. So now we're gonna fill that corner in and basically do all of this in reverse. Do this here. Alright, on that one I was able to fold a piece and then shrink it and then get the shape I wanted. On this one, it's too big. You know, shrinkers are only good for 1.5 inches or so. So this piece is too big. So we're gonna have to do it different. I'm gonna have to make a piece that has that contour, put that piece there and weld it to the edge, and then put this kind of piece in. So this one's gonna take a little bit longer. That one took long enough. So this is the pattern that I used on that end, and it's pretty close. If I line it up right, I can see the mark from there. And you know, a little bit to take out of here, they're not quite the same, but they're pretty damn close. Alright, so I welded a couple inches here and a couple inches there. The only reason I did that is once this piece goes on, it's going to be impossible to get in here with a sander to clean it up. So, if you do something like this, you got to kind of think about what's going to happen 2 steps down the road. Alright, so that piece took a lot longer than I wanted. I've still got to cut it this way for the back, so it's got the same as that. And still got to cut the lengths, but it's getting there. Alright, so this is throwing me kind of a curveball. My intention was to run this with the drip rail, but the drip rail kind of drops down at the back. And I've got this angle just a little bit to run the water off, and if I run it so that it's parallel with the drip rail, this is actually going to run the water backwards. So I'm not going to quite follow the drip rail. I'd rather be lucky than good. I stuck it in the press brake and just hit it one time, and it's dead nuts on. Alright, a little more finished work, but she's almost done. Alright, so when you do something like this, get your body work finished and then come back and seam seal it. If you seam seal it and then do your body work, you're trying to get your filler and everything, and you're trying to sand up to something that is flexible. So, get your body work done and then come in with your seam sealer. Put your bead in. You don't have to be perfect. And then what you do, I'm using lacquer thinner, but you can use acetone or either one. Get your finger wet with that. Done. Alright, so I'll let that dry and then I'll start working on the back piece of the toolbox and the lid. Alright, so I got me a slight change of plan. I was going to bring the bottom of this down to here and this water tank is going to put in behind here. And what I decided on is I'm going to put this lip in just a little higher. And then I can mount the tank off of these ears that hang down. So make the tank fit in here, put the pump and everything on the inside of here, so that it's taking out less. And then this water tank will fit in behind the fridge. My math there, it's about 7.5 gallons of water. And so it'll go from there to there. Nice little stainless steel tank. I can use a couple of these mounts here to support it at the bottom. It'll be really well. So hang off of this, support there, pump on the inside, and then I can run the water line up through this piece here, up and around, and down to the sink on the other side. Okay, so I have the back end, it's all sealed, and now I'm ready to start working on the door for it. And the camera's not focusing, but there we go. So we'll make a door now, and the door will come down from the top, and I'll have a piano hinge at the top, come down, have edges folded all the way around it, and there'll be a rubber seal that comes in around here, and then a latch, a lockable latch here in the center. So I'm thinking I might put a shelf in here. I figure if I get them bottle jack is about the same size as this. I think this is 4-ton or 8-ton, one of the two. If I put a shelf in here and just a little bit of reinforcing, you could put the jack in here and then just, you know, push the jack up a little bit to lock it in place. Put your handle in here, maybe an extra block of wood, one of those little fold-up trench shovels, some toe straps, toolbox, first aid kit, whatever else that you want to throw in here. Good spot. Much better. Alright, so I'm starting on this water tank. So this tank is going to come in here and drop in here. So this is the bottom of the tank. It's sitting here somewhere in there like that. And the back's here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the fitting on the back of the tank and then put the pump and everything up in that cavity in there. And then we'll run the water line up through here, up around here, and over the sink over that side. And then the tank will come all the way down to here, and the fill will be down here somewhere. So I just had to do a 30-mile trip to get 2 stainless steel fittings. And I may have to move this cable that opens the toolbox. Alright, so let me find something to point with. What I did is I just cut this and folded this back over, and I just cut a little bit off of these, and what that does is that lets me get the fitting all the way to the very bottom of the tank. So that's where the drain fitting is going to go, is up in there. Alright, so this corner is going to have to be cropped in here, and then we'll get a couple of baffles and put a few baffles in there and stop the water splashing around. Alright, so pretty much as I expected, I'm going to have to move this, but that's alright. I'll make a nice little billet piece, put it up there a couple inches higher. Just put some baffles on it and put the outside side on it, and a couple more mounts. Alright, so I don't know how well this is going to show up because of the sun, but I put some baffles in here, and I just cleaned it all out with paint thinner, and then I just used hot soapy water and just cleaned it. I want to make sure that there's no oils or anything inside the tank, and I'm just going to let it dry in the sun rather than blow it out with the air compressor so I don't get any oil from the air compressor. Alright, so the nice part about that is the door can be hinged either way, and so we'll hinge the door the opposite direction. It's gonna be a little tight in there, but there's enough to get through. It looks like it needs to come up, oh, I don't know, another 2 inches or so. Alright, so it's taken me a while to figure out the height of the fridge, the placement, so that we get like the most amount of stuff in here and how it all goes together. So I'm gonna build is like a very similar to what I've done here, a small framework, and then we'll skin it with the aluminum. So I'm gonna build a box. It's got a step down for the fridge. The inverter will go there, and then it'll be like a storage area here with a lid that'll open up, and then like a cushion thing that'll velcro onto here. So for now we'll start on the framework. Alright, so there's my overly complicated box of confusion. The fridge will sit here. This will be like the bench for the seat. It all gets covered with aluminum, so it's just basically the skeleton. Okay, so there's the fridge. Next step is to put in the piece on the tank there that'll hold the back of the seat, and then make all the skin for this. I don't know. Alright, so I gotta figure it out where I get the least amount of waste out of this. So now I'll go down and share it. Okay, first one bolted in. Alright, so there's that water pump. So that goes in behind the tank. The line goes down, goes up over here, and comes down over there. Alright, so this is the water tank that's going in this Land Cruiser. But this is about how to pressure test a tank. And by now this should be simple as shit to most people, but apparently there's abundance of idiots in this world. Okay, the other day my daughter's boyfriend made a tank. It was square for a fuel tank for his boat, and he wanted to pressure test it, and I told him pump half a pound of air in there, use some soapy water, and check it for leaks that way. And his father, an old genius who knows absolutely nothing, convinced him to try and pump 100 pounds of air pressure into a square tank. Alright, air compressor tanks are round. They have domed ends on them, and they're that so that the pressure is equalized and can't tear apart. If you try and put 100 pounds of air pressure in a tank this shape, you'll blow it apart. It will try and turn this into a bowl. It will tear apart at the seams, and what you're creating is a bomb. Okay? So if anybody ever tells you to pressure test a tank at that kind of pressure, they're a fucking idiot, and don't even listen to them. So the way to do this is a simple regulator. Crank it down to about half a psi, 1 psi. Right? Plug the ends. I've lost the cap, I don't know where I'm at, I'll find it in a second. Pump half a pound of air pressure in it, get yourself some soapy water, and squirt it, and it will bubble where it's at. Now, the other part of that is someone told him to fill the tank with water, and then pump it full of air. Don't put water in a tank, because what's going to happen is you're going to get the inside of the tank wet, you'll find your leak, and then when you go to weld it, you've now got water inside where your pinhole's at. You'll create steam, and you will never be able to weld it shut. Alright? So, put half a pound of air pressure to it, pump it full of, half a pound. That way you don't blow your sides out, you're not creating a bomb, right? At half a pound to 2 pounds, you'll hear a tank creak, it's kind of scary. But, pump them up a little bit, squirt them down, and then you look for the bubbles, and I'll show you what you're looking for.
Alright, so I've checked this anyway, and I know that there's a pinhole right about here. So what you do is you squirt it with soapy water. I don't know if you can see that little bubbling on going on there. That's what you're looking for. What you get, you'll see a little bubble. And there's your pinhole. Alright, so a recap, make this simple. Half a pound to 1 pound of air pressure, soapy water, look for your bubbles, right? Half pound, 1 pound, good. 100 pounds, bad. 100 pounds, you go to the hospital, you die. Half a pound, you still have a tank, and you fix your hole. You know, in hindsight, if you're dumb enough to pressure test a tank at 100 psi, and it takes you out of the gene pool, it's probably a good thing.